fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top!
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Sec's very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Good evening and welcome to the USA Speedway as we get ready for round number 4 of the Murray Bridge Bin Manufacturing and Down Under Graphics Australian Sprint Car Series. My name is Jay Kennedy. Alongside me in the booth tonight, we don't have Brock Caddy, but we've got our resident dirt expert in the booth with us tonight, Cameron Dance. Cam, welcome along. It's been a very, very entertaining season so far. Tonight we're going to have one of the most enjoyable tracks for this series. It's going to be very, very tight, very, very close, very, very action-packed.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a track that not many people often go to in the sprint car these days. It's one of those underrated tracks and underused ones at USA Speedway. It's very much like Williams Grove in the way that it's got long straights and not so wide open corners, so it's going to be really interesting tonight to see how we go and what sort of racing is going to happen.
Just so we're at the USA International Speedway, pretty much a kilometre in length, and as you said, it's long straights and very sharp. The two corners are here. It's an interesting layout as we've got 30 lap main once again tonight. Caution laps will not count in the A main, and another bumper grid as well with the newest world champion in iRacing was crowned today. Alex Bergeron back out on track. Currently is the championship leader in this series, as we can see on screen now. So Bergeron, Hewitt, Berkeley and Heilemann the top 4. Brenton Hobson in 5th. And yourself, Cam, you're sitting in 7th position. You'll obviously drop that spot tonight, but you've been going okay in this series.
Yeah, it's I'm actually interesting to see that considering I actually crashed out at the first round at Charlotte, and then I can't quite remember what happened at Knoxville. It was relatively average though, but yeah, actually quite amazing I'm in 7th. But yeah, it's actually really, really tight at the top at the moment. And another thing is a lot of drivers pretty much from Hewitt down to about Heilemann aren't actually here tonight, so really, really good chance for a lot of guys to get some points and that they really could do with.
Yeah, 100%. There is a decent field, and noticing, as you said, there's a few drivers away. We've got a few drivers that have other commitments tonight that have put in apologies and aren't able to race, and there's other drivers that, as you said, will be really looking forward to take this opportunity to get a decent points haul. One of them is on screen right now, that being Brenton Hobson. Hobbo sitting in 5th position, one of the crowd favourites. You're looking to get some decent points tonight, and I'm noticing a lot of the TTL Esports guys not able to make it tonight, or having a bit of a night off after a very, very eventful day in the World Championship Sprint Car Series. It was a very, very eventful race. No, Cam, you didn't have the best one yourself, but for a lot of your teammates, it wasn't that great as well.
Yeah, it was probably one of our worst performances, unfortunately. Only Joel and Nick made the feature, unfortunately, and whereas myself, Lewis, and the rest of us all had to do it out in the B-main and unfortunately didn't quite make it. So a little bit unfortunate, but that's racing sometimes, and you just got to take it on the chin and carry on a bit. But good to see that a couple of us also requalify for next year as well. So be interesting to see what happens in 2020.
Yeah, and that qualifying will happen later on in the year as well, as we've got a few drivers still Just putting in some practice laps at the moment. Only 16 cars out on track for the moment tonight. So a little bit of a smaller field out there on track tonight. We've got a few of our regulars out there at the moment. James Robbie putting in some lap times there. Interesting, the pace. So straight to Alex Berger on the pace is a little bit more spread tonight with this smaller field than what we've seen in other races.
Yeah, you don't have that sort of closeness that you normally have with the usuals turning up like Berkeley and Holloman and all that and those sort of guys. So it's a little bit more spread out. Obviously, not quite as close as we want it to be, but it'll be interesting to see what happens come the A main when things really do heat up and the track starts to blow off a bit.
So on board here with Scott Butler through turn number 2. Looking like we'll just have the two heats and an A main tonight, so it'll be a rather quick night. Only 3 races, but we've seen how long those A mains can go for with the caution laps not counting. They can drag on a fair while. We had a fairly long one last week. I think we went for nearly 70 laps to get those 30 laps of racing in.
Yeah, it was a bit of a long drag that last round, obviously with a number of cautions, and despite the track being as wide as it is at Knoxwood, is quite a tricky track to drive on when it is as slick as it was. So it's all a bit of a shame last week, but obviously with less competitors this week, it should be really, really good with some quick and hopefully exciting race.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully we'll see some very, very quick, tight racing. Mick Wilson about to cross the line. He's starting his first flying run. We've seen Brett Wheeler the last few weeks. He's been topping the practice times. It's a little bit later to get out on the track tonight, so he will not go to the top of the time sheets, you wouldn't think, but his pace has been really good. He just hasn't been able to capitalise when it's come time for the main event at the end of the night.
Yeah, he's actually done surprisingly well over these past 2 rounds so far, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of pace he has tonight and whether he's actually going to be able to get a decent result out of it, because like you said, he's had the pace but just not been able to get the result that he really, really needs.
We're about 2.5 minutes away from getting our racing underway tonight. As we said, it's looking like we'll only have the two heats and a main, which a little bit disappointing, but at the same breath, it will mean that we will see some different drivers potentially shine as we get to the end of the night. John Schultz doing a good job, definitely a little bit further in the timesheets than we've seen him throughout the series. Currently in 4th position, he'll be quite happy with where he's sitting at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a pleasant surprise when you're inside that top 5 and doing relatively well like John is at the moment. Obviously not the quickest driver in the field, but like you said, with less cars, it could be interesting to see where everybody is in positioning to where they end up finishing, because less cars and less racing equals a less more tracks. So you're not going to have the drivers who are normally quick on slick tracks be probably as quick, and they're probably going to struggle a little bit just because they've got extra grip to counter with.
Yeah, that's right. The track won't evolve anywhere near as much tonight as we've seen in other races, and you can see here too the wheel work. John, there's a little crest in the middle of turns 3 and 4 that doesn't evolve the track quite as much as you would expect. There's a real strange little bump right in the middle of turns 3 and 4 if you get it too low, isn't there?
Yeah, there actually is. And the other thing about getting really, really low here is that inside wall is very easy to hit in 3 and 4. And then if you're going a little bit too deep into turn 1, you actually end up possibly getting an off track and ending up in the grass. So it's a really, really unique track. And I think we'll probably see the track evolve similar to what we saw at Williams Grove. So you might end up seeing some drivers driving down the inside of the straight, which is a little bit abnormal due to how bumpy the straights are going to be. But yeah, it should be really, really interesting to see how it goes.
So 16 drivers have put in times in this practice session. Still got a couple of minutes before the practice is, a minute before the practice is done, and obviously 5 minutes of qualifying to set our fields throughout the night as Brenton Hobson finishes his flying lap. Trent Gossley, another driver who'll be one to watch tonight, I think, because with this smaller field, he has the potential to get right up to the pointy end. Just has had a fair bit of bad luck and got himself involved in some messy incidents throughout the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, for sure. He's
another one.
Definitely Yeah, that wasn't too ideal, but yeah, he's obviously got some decent pace as we've seen in the past on numerous occasions in different events. So he'll definitely be looking to try and recover some sort of result tonight. As Chief Flag has just come out, and we're about to take over to qualify.
Yep, just about to get into tonight's qualifying session as Vince Romeo looking strong as well. So we'll see how this qualifying session goes. 5 minutes of qualifying for our drivers tonight, and it will be hotly contested. And I think here, this is a track where qualifying is probably a little bit more important than what we've seen at other circuits, because you really want to capitalise on starting up the front. As you said, it's so narrow. It's not easy to pass around here because of the narrowness of the circuit, and getting up the inside for slide jobs is nowhere near as easy as the other tracks like we saw last week at Knoxville.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the other things is actually quite flat here as well, compared to a lot of other tracks. Even it's probably a little bit more banked than Knoxville, but it's effectively the same thing where you've really got to make sure that if you get a slide job done, you've really got to be up alongside someone before you actually get in front of them.
So our first time on the boards will be a 19.2 from Rockwind Yang. We'll get a time on the board very, very quickly from Alex Bergeron, currently driving with the number 12 in this series, but he will have the number 1 on his wing plate next season as the world champion, the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, and straight away to the top of the timesheets in this session. Great lap there, an 18.7. Just pimps Trent Gossley, who had number 1 for just a moment. So Bergeron on top at the moment. Gossley's done Harry Stewart into third as he just loops it on his second run. Bergeron's second lap though, have a look at the time on that one, an 18.4. That's going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, really, really interesting line to see that he was actually a lot quicker using a slide job line into turn 3 and 4 instead of just running the top the whole way around. So really, really good lap there from Bergeron to be pretty much 2 tenths clear nearly of the entire field. Is currently got on the screen Scott Butler really wheeling that car around out of turn 2, coming down back straight now towards turn 3, going to go down low into turn 3 and use a similar line that Bergeron did. So we'll see if it pays off for him or not. Hasn't quite set a time yet. This will be his first time lap, and it'll put him straight into P3. So obviously that line has worked to some extent for him.
Yeah, it's a strange line. As you said, it'll be one that we'll see a lot more in the race, but cutting it in that shallow on the entry and then coming out wide is not the normal line that we would see, especially in a qualifying run, and almost an improvement on the second lap, just a tiny little bit slower. So he slots in to third, stays in third as Brett Wheeler just about to start his flying laps at the moment. So Brenton Hobson's jumped into second position, only 0.08 of a second behind the quick time of Bergeron.
Yeah, really, really good lap there by Hobbo actually. So he'll be very stoked to actually have put it in P2 at the moment. Is just to say that Brett goes straight to P2 and is not too far behind Alex, actually just under a tenth. So he's not doing too bad. Not quite as low as Bergeron that time by into turn 3 as he comes out of turn 4. Is the lap going to be quicker as he crosses the line? No, it is not.
No. James Robbie's just completed his first flying lap. We'll see what he can do on lap number 2. 19.0 needs a little bit of work to improve, but this looks like it will be an improvement, and it is. Put him inside the top 10 into 9th position. We've got 2 drivers left to put in qualifying runs, but I'm not sure if they're going to actually put in laps by the looks of things, that being Carl Hoffmans and Clint Smith. We've got Bob King in as admin, so we've got 17 drivers in. It may force us to actually have 3 heats to sort the field out, so we could see some interesting racing over the next few minutes, but we're not far away from getting the racing underway. Bergeron and Wheeler will have pole in their heats with positions 1 and 2 in qualifying. Entire field separated by 0.7 of a second around this this track is actually pretty quick because the track being so long, it is one of the longer circuits. The lap times actually being that close is actually pretty good.
Yeah, they're actually not too bad to be that spread out for how long the track is, and obviously everybody using different sort of lines and trying to get the best out of the car. It's made it that much more interesting because everybody has used such strange and bizarre lines that you normally wouldn't see. Is that other car that we haven't seen yet qualify, Carl Hoffman, is now just starting his lap.
So going to try the strategy that we've seen quite a lot throughout this series. Wait until the end to see what the track's done before you jump in and do your laps. It's not a bad ploy, and also seen a couple of drivers almost get caught out in regards to how much fuel they've got in the cars to start their laps too. So first lap for Hoffman's will put him into the mid-pack, actually 14th position, only 6/10 off the current best. We'll see what he can do on his second lap. I think this will be an improvement we've seen, as he's actually run out of time, so he won't improve on that lap. Now that's qualifying all done.
Yes, and so currently poleman Alex Bergeron will be starting on pole for heat number 1, 2 heats tonight by the looks of it. So P2 for heat number 2 will be Brenton Hobson, followed by James Rice and Vince Romeo in 3rd and 4th. 5th and 6th, James Robbie and Mick Wilson, followed by Bradley Saunders and Brock Wing Yang in 7th and 8th. And running out the field will be Clint Shane Smith.
Yep, and as we said, everyone will go through to the A main tonight, so we won't have any consolation races because we don't need them, because the entire field will go through here in tonight's proceedings for this Rain Sprint Car Series. It's been a very, very entertaining season so far. Next week, we actually have a break next week, Cam. We've got the new iRacing build coming out next week, so we're going to have a week off to test out the new features and have a little bit of fun with it. So hopefully we have some pretty cool things to come in the next build as well. We'll no doubt see some improvements in regards to different features here in the dirt side of things. There'll always some really exciting things that do come out in the new builds.
Yeah, 100%. It's actually looking like it's going to be a really, really good build, especially for the dirt side of stuff. I know there's some interesting new vehicles. The Pro 2 and Pro 4 trucks coming out, which will be a lot of fun. With obviously Rallycross been around for a while, it'll be interesting to throw those trophy truck style race cars around those racetracks in Nevada, I believe they both are.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it should be some really, really good fun, and we'll hopefully have some coverage of that here on the iRacing Esports Network throughout next year as well, and coming soon as well, TCR as well, which should be really, really cool. We'll have a broadcast for that here on SimSpeed as well next, hopefully next build, and also some big rumours around other features that are coming and other new content that is coming as well, with some potential big announcements coming in the next few days as well. So heaps of really cool things coming in iRacing, and there's so many different things as well. Depending on what your interest is, there's always something to get involved in and have some fun with, because there's always something new coming.
Yeah, 100%. There's always something or one little thing that you find interesting in the most recent build that comes out in iRacing, and it's always a little bit like Christmas or your birthday, more or less, in that you get some sort of surprise at the end of the day, whether it's a very small thing or a very big thing. So yeah, it's always something to look forward to when an iRacing build comes out.
Yep. We, as broadcasters, got a nifty little feature last season that nobody that wasn't a broadcaster would have even known about, where the blimp can spin the other way. That was a very, very wanted feature for the iRacing broadcasters, and we've loved having that. But as you said, it's all different sorts of little things that do come out that you love, and other people won't really care for. But there's always something really cool to come on iRacing, and to think now 10 years on from the launch, and it's always evolving, and it's still forever evolving. So if you aren't a part of iRacing, make sure you do sign on at iRacing.com, and you will have a blast out on track regardless of what discipline you choose to race in.
Yeah, 100%. And it's one of the cool things about iRacing is that it is online, so you are racing real people in real time as well. And yeah, it's really, really fun regardless, as the pace car is in, and we're not too far away from going green.
Yep, and here we go. Good launch there for Alex Bergeron. Green flag flies, and he has got a fantastic jump on the rest of the field. Hobson and Vince Romeo almost making contact. Now have a look at the run here from James Robbie. And Vince Romeo's got a fantastic run out of turn 2. He's going to try and go around the outside on Brenton Hobson, who will cover off on the inside. But the momentum here, watch for Vince Romeo. He looks the one likely to make moves here.
Yeah, that topside line is really working well. It's got some massive momentum on the exit.
James Rice.
Turn 2 as Rice is just struggling a little bit further back in the field, having started up further in the field about P3. So he's dropped back a little bit, but he won't have to worry too bad about transfers as Romeo clips the wall on the exit of turn number 4, going straight to the high side. And you can just see the overspeed that he's got compared to the car of James Robbie just behind him.
Bergeron's got out to a second lead, but Vince Romeo and James Robbie are not letting Brenton Hobson hold on to that second position too much as Mick Wilson is around on the front straight. Brock Wing Yang has made contact with him as they continue on. We stay green, of course, in the heats. Brenton Hobson trying to hold on from Vince Romeo. Now James Robbie with a bit of momentum to try and close this down.
Yeah, James is really working that top side now as Hobson goes to the top side as well. Romeo trying to use that middle to low line, not quite able to get it done, and now Robbie's going to have a run around the outside. Romeo using the slider line while Robbie uses that middle line to his advantage. Doesn't quite get the run though onto the front straight.
Halfway through this race, 5 laps to go. Alex Bergeron now 1.3 second lead, and Brenton Hobson starting to pull away. James Robbie, Vince Romeo looks the most likely little battle, and here we go. James Robbie, huge slide job, not quite able to finish it off, and Vince Romeo will hold on for now.
Yeah, not quite able to get the job done there, but had a really decent go, so he should be able to get on by if he can get a solid run out of the corner in these next few laps.
See what James Robbie can do. The rest of the field has spread. It is still on for 3rd and 4th position. 3 laps left in this race now. Bergeron, Hobson, they look safe at the front of the field, but Romeo, Robbie, and even Bradley Sanders slowly closing in. James Rice as well. He's looking very, very quick out on track. Second fastest car at the moment is James Rice, who had issues early. But Vince Romeo now starting to slowly close back in on Brenton Hobson, so maybe not settled for 2nd and 3rd. So we have 2 to go.
Yeah, Romeo seems to have some really decent pace. Doesn't quite have it at the moment, but it's really interesting seeing the different lines working. You see some guys trying to run the high line and some trying to run the bottom or slider line, and currently Hobson using that top side and just huge speed in turn 1 and 2. So clearly that top side is starting to really come in at this point.
Alex Bergeron comes out of the final corner, will cross the line and pick up the win in heat number 1. Hobson holds on for 2nd over Vince Romeo. James Robbie in 4th. Sanders, Rice, Brock Wing Yang and Mick Wilson will be the rest of the field. Great to see everyone has finished the race. It's the first time this season we've seen every car in a heat finish the race. So Bergeron, Hobson, Romeo, Robbie, Sanders, Rice, Wing Yang and Wilson for heat number 1. So we move into our second heat of the night. Grid is as follows, with Brett Wheeler and Scott Butler on the front row, John Schultz and Trent Gosling on the second row, Harry Stewart and Daniel Stevens on the third row with Carl Hoffmans. And I believe that will be it on the 4th row.
Yeah, I believe Hoffmans is the last driver in the field, so 7-car field, a little bit smaller than the previous race, but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a worse race.
I've often seen the smaller fields in this series have the best races. It's quite a common theme that we have here on SimSpeed with the small field races having some fantastic racing. None more so than last night when we had the iRacing V8 Supercar Series at Imola. It was one of the best races we've ever had here for our Monday Night V8 Series. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you do check it on demand on the SimSpeed Facebook page or on SimSpeed's YouTube or the iRacing Esports Network as well. It's a controversial finish, but very, very entertaining nonetheless, Cam.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an upset for a certain TTL driver, unfortunately, with a handful of laps to go, but it was a really, really good race up until that point between Loxton Myers, Harlow, and also Wayne Burks. So, yeah, it was really, really exciting to see that battle going for pretty much 3/4, if not the entire race, pretty much. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how next week goes at Spa for the V8s and how this race, in fact, for the Australian Sprint Car Series will go.
Yep, 100%. This will be a very, very close heat, this one. Brett Wheeler, Scott Butler on the front row, but John Schultz and Trent Gosling, they've got a bit to prove this week As we said before, Trent Gossley's one to watch. He's had good pace. He just hasn't been able to capitalise on it in the first 3 rounds. So this is his opportunity to try and gain some positions and maybe get himself up a bit further in the points than what he has been the last few weeks. Get ready to go green this time by into the restart zone. As soon as they get past the number 4 symbol on the side of the track, they are in control of the leader, that being Brett Wheeler, so he can go green at any time, and away he goes. A great jump, and John Schultz has got a great start there too on the inside. He's going to slide straight into second position straight away.
Or is he? Because Butler's going to try right outside on the fence. He is. That was a massive moment for Butler there, and it just didn't quite pay off to go around the outside, and he's ended up upside down and on his side, so that's going to be a DNF for Butler. But currently back to the front of the field, that battle for second is really going off between Gosley, Schultz and Stewart.
Yeah, Harry Stewart doing a good job, and also Carl Hoffman's getting involved, but Trent Gossley versus John Schultz, and here comes Gossley up the inside. Will he be able to get it finished? He will. Good move there from Trent Gossley to get second position in this race. John Schultz now will try and get back, but here comes Harry Stewart looking up the inside. Not quite quick enough, but Harry Stewart looking very, very strong, trying to get that inside line working, but now he's getting susceptible to Carl Hoffman's. Will Hoffman's get through as well?
Yeah, Hoffman's really, really strong around the top, so it's looking like he might be able to get the job done, although now Harry Stewart is headed straight to the top side of the racetrack, so he's going to have some decent pace as he gets very loose out of turn number 2 and heading into turn number 3. It's looking like that gap is pretty much stabilised. Hoffman's not too far behind, trying to run that bottom and try to get it work, but it just doesn't quite have the pace at the moment.
Then Daniel Stevens actually starting to close in. He was one of the fastest drivers on track. Hoffman's very slow now, and there's almost contact. Daniel Stevens had to get out of the throttle there to avoid contact. So Stevens back in 6th position as Harry Stewart now tries to go back up the inside of John Schultz. Stevens through on Hoffman's around the outside. And here comes Harry Stewart again, making that inside line work. Schultz through though, holding on. Harry Stewart almost making contact. This has been a pretty entertaining race so far.
Yeah, Stewart just not quite able to get that bottom to work, but nearly actually ended up on the wall big time 2 laps ago when he jumped the cushion and had to really wrestle the car to get it back under control. But he's currently not too far off Schultz at the moment. If he can just get close enough, he might be able to throw a slide job as he's actually going to do that, but he's not quite going to clear him, and Schultz will just hold on to that position. So Stewart's got some really decent pace, but he's just not quite able to get the job done.
Not quite there, is he? 2.5 laps to go at the moment. Brett Wheeler's out to a 3-second lead. It's a huge advantage at the front. Trent Gossley in second, but John Schultz, Harry Stewart for 3rd and 4th position. These guys are going at it, and these guys want to get on that podium in this heat.
Yeah, 100%. They want to try and get that best possible starting position that they can for the feature. Obviously, with no B main, it doesn't matter who finishes where. You're all going to make it through, but currently Stewart running that cushion, but so is Schultz, and it's really making it difficult. As Schultz in the wall, this is going to be the opportunity that Stewart needs. He's going to go up the inside for a slide job into turn number 1. He's going to get it done as they head into turn number 2. A little bit of a bad run into turn 2, but it's looking like he's cleared him as he's going to have a bit of a run, but Brett Wheeler across the line to take his win in the heat is... That will be Gosling in second, and Stewart is just going to get Schultz at the line. So really, really close finish there. Daniel Stevens will finish in 5th, and Carl Hoffmans, who's actually run out of fuel, will finish in 6th place.
And have a look at how close that was for 3rd and 4th in the end there. Only half of a tenth of a second, 0.05 of a second separating those 2 cars. The drivers now move into a very, very quick warm-up session, and then we get into the main already. It's a very, very quick night of racing here on SimSpeed for the Murray Bridge. Bin Manufacturing and Down Under Graphics Australian Sprint Car Series. If you do want to be a part of the series, check out the BK Events Facebook page or shoot us a message here at SimSpeed TV and we can get you in the right direction to get involved, because it is a very, very cool series. This is our 2nd running of this series, and the first one was entertaining, but this one's turned out even better and even more competitive.
Yeah, 100%. Bob really does some awesome events, and whether it's a series or just a one-off event, he does a really, really good job at running it, and it's, yeah, just turns it on every single time and brings out some really, really good drivers in racing.
We're going to take a very, very quick break here on SimSpeed TV on the iRacing Esports Network. When we come back, it will be the A main, and it will be very, very entertaining, that is for sure. We'll be back very, very soon here on SimSpeed TV.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go. Oh, no.
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Welcome back to coverage here at USA International Speedway, the Australian Sprint Car Series presented by Murray Bridge Bin Manufacturing and Down Under Graphics. As the warm-up session is done, the grid is about to be set, and we get into our main event of the night, which will be gridded up as follows. Alex Bergeron and Brett Wheeler on the front row, Brenton Hobson and Trent Gostley on the second row, Vince Romeo and Harry Stewart on the third row, fourth row, James Robbie and John Schultz. And we've got Bradley Sanders and Daniel Stevens on the next row, with James Rice and Carl Hoffmans on the sixth row. Seventh row, Brockwing Yang and Scott Butler and Mick Wilson will be the last car in the field of our 15 drivers tonight. As we said, 30 laps with the caution laps not counting, so hopefully our little magic lap counter that we've had on screen for the last couple of weeks works. Worked for the first week, didn't work for the rest, but we'll see how we go tonight. My name is Jay Kennedy, alongside me in the booth, Cameron Dance Cam. It's been very, very entertaining so far. A very, very short night, but this is the one we've been waiting for. This is going to be an action-packed race.
Yeah, for sure it is. It's definitely going to be probably having Alex run away with it, but the battle for the rest of positions, it's well and truly going to go off. That's for sure, especially on a track that seems to have not completely slicked off, but does have the possibility of some different lines being used. So it will be really, really interesting to see who does what in terms of lines and what's actually going to be quickest.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out and where everyone moves to. As we saw in that second heat, the inside can work if you can get the momentum right, but it didn't work as much as you would have expected. And obviously that top line hasn't fully slicked out, so you can hold the outside, which will make the racing really, really cool. We're going to see a lot of side-by-sides throughout this race.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be probably top dominant, but at the same time, you're going to be able to use that slide line to your advantage and possibly even have the middle or the very bottom come into it as well. So it'll be really interesting to see who does what and whether we will probably see a handful of side jobs being thrown.
No doubt we'll see a few. Hopefully we have some long green flag runs. It's been the little downfall we've had in this series. As we said last week, we had around about 70-75 laps of running to get our 30 laps in the race. So hopefully tonight we see only 30 laps. 30-lap race would be fantastic, but we'll probably see a caution. Maybe 2 we could get away with, but hopefully we don't see the incredible amounts that we've seen over the last few weeks as Alex Bergeron comes into turns 3 and 4 to get our final race of the night underway. Bergeron and Wheeler on the front row, Hobson and Gosling on the second row. All four of these guys looking to take a big advantage from a smaller field tonight. In the hands of Bergeron, and we are away. Green flag flies and a great jump from both Bergeron and Wheeler. Brenton Hobson holding off from Trent Gosling, but have a look at Vince Romeo getting right involved, and Brenton Hobson also trying to get through, but Brett Wheeler with a great run out of turn 1.
He's got a massive run. He's going to go for a slide job up the inside of Bergeron and manage to actually hold it on the inside, so he will take the race lead from Bergeron, who's now going to be looking to go up the inside with a slide job. Not quite going to make it happen, and not quite going to be able to make that bottom work, although he did get a very good run, and Wheeler got very low, so straight back into the race lead does Bergeron go, and Brett will have to settle for second. As just behind, we've got a number of cars all scrambling for position just in the minor positions at the moment. It's all going off that mid-pack.
Amazing too, going into turn 1 on the lap previous. Alex Bergeron cut and jumped across the grass and somehow made it work. It's still on at the front, but Bergeron starting to break away. Trent Gosling and Bradley Sanders, have a look at how far he has come up the field. +5, started in 9th, and he's already up into 4th position. He's looking really strong at the moment.
He's got a fantastic race car on him at the moment as he's having to dice with Trent Gosling, and he's not too far off Brenton Hobson. He's got a massive run on Hobson. He's going to go to the top side to try and make it work, but it's not quite going to get the job done, although he's just going to hold on from Trent Gosling, who's all over the tail tank of Sanders' car, and it's not quite going to be able to get the job done. But now Rice is coming into this and is all over the back end of Gosling, who's still trying to catch up with Sanders. Sanders with a not too bad of a run into turn 3, but Gosling with a slightly better one. And now Rice is trying to get up the inside of Gosling as they're all still scrapping, and Romeo's not too far behind this as well, looking very racy.
This is an incredible start to this race. At the front of the field, Bergeron and Wheeler have broken away 2.5 seconds back to Hobson, but Hobson is feeling a bit of pressure from behind from Bradley Saunders, but just said Gosling, Rice, Schultz and Romeo all in this pack here, and James Robbie not too far away as well. We know how quick he is too. This is an incredible fight between these 7 cars.
Yeah, absolutely is. Now Gosling's going to try the top one, but it's not going to work, and Sanders is going to hold on. Now Rice is going to look to try and take advantage of that mistake. He's going to look up the inside, or a little bit of a touch with the inside wall, and that's going to allow John Schultz to try and have a go, but he's not quite going to get the job done, as Romeo, I believe, has managed to get by James Robbie.
Yep, and James Robbie now trying to get some momentum back to close that gap back up. Bergeron's absolutely broken away now from Brett Wheeler. He now has a 1.3 second advantage, but have a look at James Robbie trying to work out where he can get through on the car of Vince Romeo. Not quite close enough, but have a look at John Schultz actually. He's now trying to run the inside, but James Rice saw him coming and cut him off just as he was trying to get that slide job started. James Rice versus John Schultz here, getting very, very interesting for 6th and 7th position. As I just see James Robbie just clip the wall, and Carl Hoffmans is starting to close in on this battle pack now too.
Yeah, so the different lines are all starting to take the toll on each other, and really, really good racing to see with the track so racy. Is now John Schultz still all over the back of James Rice, who's trying to make that inside work. Vince Romeo up on the top. It's looking like he's going to have a decent run, not too far off the back of John Schultz, but currently Gosling and Sanders going side by side. Gosling trying to make that top line work, but not quite going to get it done through 1 and 2. Is it going to work through 3 and 4 as Sanders goes for a slide job sort of line and doesn't quite get the exit that he hoped, although it's not too bad of a run, so he can hold on to that position. But just behind, actually, there's been a change of position. Carl Hoffman's coming through now as Vince Romeo is trying to get on by, but not quite going to get it done.
Wow, have a look at Hoffman's run in the last few laps. Has been incredible. Now up into 8th position, almost contact between he and Vince Romeo. Now Hoffman's trying to get this move done on John Schultz as Trent Gosling and James Rice, Bradley Saunders all change position. And there goes Gosling with a great run up the inside. Now I think we're going to see slide job come back in the next lap or two. This is going to get really interesting between these front 3 of this pack. There are 8 cars separated by 1.1 seconds right now.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy to think the amount, how close these guys are at the moment. Gosley's starting to pull away from Saunders by the looks of it after using what is a very interesting line. He's sort of diamonding the corner off, using the coming in high and then going straight back down to the low side for the exit. So not too bad of a strategy. But now Hoffman has managed to get on by John Schultz by the looks of it, and he'll be on a charge to get past Rice, who's working that bottom line, but Hoffman is on that top side and he's really making it work so well.
Halfway through and we've stayed green the entire way. 15 down, 15 to go here in the A main tonight, and James Rice will be starting to feel some pressure because Carl Hoffman's is so quick right now. Only 3 drivers quicker than Carl Hoffman's now. They're the front 3. Hoffman's is the best of the rest right now as he starts to work his way through the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Hoffman's is on an absolute charge and he's not far off Rice. In fact, James Robbie's about to go around the outside of John Schultz by the looks of it. Schultz going to be on the inside. That top line in 1 and 2 has really come back alive, and Robbie's really going to get a great run on the exit of turn number 2 as they head into turn number 3. Robbie will hold on to that position, but Hoffman's going to go around the outside of Rice, who's struggling for traction on the exit of turn number 4, and a bit of contact as well as they head into turn number 1. Rice still on the bottom, and Hoffman's right up top is now just ahead of them. Gosley and Sanders battling together side by side into turn number 3. Gosley on the inside, Sanders on the outside. Bottom is not quite going to work for Trent Gosley, although they're still side by side, but Sanders will just hold on to that position.
I've just seen 2 Vince Romeo and Daniel Stevens change position in the background as well, but Trent Gosley, he'll be absolutely livid right now because he was looking so strong and he's given up that position again. These 2 guys, Saunders and Gosley, they're so evenly matched. They're both coming back at each other, but Carl Hoffman's, this has been an incredible drive from him in this A main as he slowly starts to close the gap down as we've got our first caution of the night. Vince Romeo and Daniel Stevens have come together on the front straight. Amazing that we've gone 19 laps clean.
Yeah, that's absolutely unbelievable. It's just been full on throughout the entire field. It's absolutely unbelievable, but we'll get a Motum Simulations replay of what's actually happened. Is it looks like actually that Daniel Stevens has come out of turn 4 on the slick and has unfortunately got a little bit loose, so he's ended up making contact with Vince Romeo, and a big tumble for Vince Romeo, who got spat into the outside wall, had to go for a bit of a tumble, and so did Daniel Stevens. So really unfortunate for those two as they've come to blows with each other. Obviously, a little bit of damage by the looks of it, but they're still managing to carry on. So I'm not 100% sure if they will have to come to the pits and retire, but they're still out there. So it's great to see everybody still going.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. And as we said before, we do have one. Actually, it looks like we've got 2 cars that have gone out of the race. Mick Wilson is in the pits. It looks like Harry Stewart is having some technical issues and has decided he is done for the night as well. As we get ready to go back, green flag running, we'll have 10 laps to go in tonight's main event. Wowee, what a race we've seen so far. I'm glad that we actually got a caution because I don't know if our breath and our voices would have been able to hold on for the rest of that race with how action-packed that start was.
Yeah, it was absolutely full on. That whole 20-lap run pretty much. It's going to be really interesting to see what actually happens with this restart, because it will have brought the field together, and it'll really mix things up. Obviously, it'll give the likes of Brett Wheeler and also Brenton Hobson a possible chance at changing their position. It'll also bring the likes of Sanders, Gosley, Hoffman's, Rice and Robbie all back into this as well, and possibly a shot at a top 5 or podium.
Well, you'd think with the pace that Hoffman's had, he's a chance of getting a couple of spots here, because he looked so strong in those last few laps before we got the caution out on the circuit. The racing safety car, the pace car, will pull into the pit lane, and we will get the green flag this time by Alex Bergeron. Will hold the field up, and as soon as he gets past the turn 4 signal on the outside of the circuit, he has control of the field between there and the pit entry. He can go any time he chooses, and he catches Brett Wheeler out a little bit. Wheeler tried to go a little bit early and judge it, but didn't quite get it. So, good jump, though, from both of those guys. And have a look at Trent Gosley trying to get it to work on the inside. Bradley Sanders, though, through into third.
Great move there. Hobson not quite able to get the drive, but he's going to go round the outside through turn number 3 and 4 not quite going to get the run, although he's going to hold on to the position from Trent Gosling. He's trying to make the inside work, not quite going to work, but now they're 3 wide with Hoffman in the middle, trying to make that middle work, and he's going to get the position over Gosling. He's going to go up the inside of Hobson and get 2 for 1 in half a corner. So amazing driving by Hoffman there. There's still 3 wide down the front straight. Hoffman just manages to clear Gosling. Is now Gosling and Hobson is side by side. Rice now getting involved in this. Is now Hoffman is going to try the middle, not going to quite get it work, and we've got another caution.
Yeah, John Schultz upside down through the middle of turns 1 and 2, and not sure what's caused that. But how was that restart from Carl Hoffmans to get up the field so quickly? Fantastic to see how much pace he's got. Has there been a bit of contact here? There has, between Scott Butler and John Schultz, and John Schultz just around and then finished off by Vince Romeo. Looks like Schultz might be able to keep going. He has lost the front wing off the front of that car, but I don't think Schultz did too much wrong there.
Yeah, I think Butler just made a slide job that was a little bit too far back and didn't quite have enough of a run. So unfortunately, contact there for John Schultz, who's now missing a front wing. He'll probably have to struggle a little bit just to bring it home. But Vince Romeo is actually in the pit lane, so he's getting some repairs done by the looks of it to that front end of that car, which will be probably a little bit worse for wear than after that earlier contact.
Lights are still on the pace car, so we'll have a little bit more time before we go green. It looks like Scott Butler has been given an end-of-line penalty for that incident as well, so that probably no real surprise there that Butler has been sent to the end of the line for that incident. Bergeron, Wheeler, and now Bradley Sanders. And this could be interesting. He has some good pace, and Carl Hoffmans, as we said, has got good pace. We could see a change for first, second, third, fourth here, depending on how this restart goes.
Yeah, it'll be really, really interesting to see what sort of change we might see. Obviously, Hoffman with some really, really good pace through that mid to high section in the likes of turns 1 and 2. So really, really be interesting to see who manages to do what and who can possibly gain a few more positions with only a handful of laps to go in this race.
Have what we believe is 7 laps to go. We're just waiting for confirmation from race control. We hope that our lap counter has predicted it right or counted right. We'll get word through soon, but we believe 7 laps to go. So we get very, very close to getting back underway. Alex Bergeron will lead the field around. Again, we'll control the field coming up now as we get ready to get the green flag. 7 laps remaining in this A main. It has been so heated and so action-packed so far.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're underway and looking like Brett Wheeler's not got too bad of a restart, but at the moment that middle pack for the final podium position is actually Brett Wheeler's got a really good run on Alex Bergeron at the moment out of turn number 2 as they'll head into turn number 3. Bergeron's going to just hold on, but look in the background, Hobson with a huge slide job on Kyle Hoffman as they're going to go side by side down the front straight. Hoffman's going to try the inside, Hobson in the middle on the outside. He's going to just get the drive off the corner, but Hoffman, not too bad of a drive. He's going to try and possibly look up the inside. No, he's not. He's going to sit station as now Hobson is going to go to the high side, but just behind them actually, James Robbie going around the outside of James Rice and Trent Gosling, as they're just not far behind Carl Hoffman, who's still battling with Brenton Hobson. It's all going off in the middle of that pack.
It's an amazing battle, and at the front it is still going on as well. Bergeron slowly starting to break away, and Brenton Hobson coming back here to try and get his podium position back. 4 laps remaining, we believe, in this race. James Robbie, James Rice, and Trent Gosling still going at it, but have a look at Hoffman's going around the outside. He's got that absolutely hooked up around the outside through turns 1 and 2. The other guys around him will have to be very, very careful with only a couple of laps to go to see whether they can come through. Here comes Hobson again.
Yeah, Hobson's going to try around the outside.
Oh, Hoffman's!
Racetrack as Hoffman's is in the wall and he's had a bit of contact. Everybody's checked up. They've all managed to keep on going, so it'll stay green for the time being. But currently Hobson and Sanders still going at it. They're side by side at turn number 4. Hobson on the outside. He's going to not quite have the overspeeders. We've only got a handful of laps to go. Still is now Hobson's going to have to sit station. He's going to try and drive it underneath Sanders. He's come down the back straight, nearly side by side. Hobson's going to be on the inside. He's going to throw a slide job. Just get him as we're going to have the white flag this time by. So one more chance for Hobson to try and get on the podium here. Is it going to go side by side? Hobson's going to try the high line through turn 2. Is he going to get the run? Yes, he is. He's going to be side by side with Sanders down the back straight. Still side by side in turn 3. Hobson on the outside. Here we go. The run to the line. But it'll be Alex Bergeron who'll take the one from Brett Wheeler. And just behind Hobson. Going to hold on for a podium. And just behind Scott Butler and Trent Gozzi will be side by side across the line. Butler will get the position though.
Wow, what a race that was. Congratulations to everyone in that one. Fantastic A main. Bergeron, Wheeler, Hobson, your top 3. Bradley Sanders in 4th position. Wowee, what a race that was. That was an incredible main event tonight. That is the race of the season so far. That was a fantastic race. And we've been waiting for that one the entire season. It was great to see such a great race. And congratulations to Bergeron, Wheeler and Hobson, your podium in this one. We'll try and get some results up on screen. Hopefully they work. No, they won't because the field's shuffling through and technically the race is still going. But we do know our top 3, Alex Bergeron, Brett Wheeler and Brenton Hobson. Fantastic night of racing here once again. That was awesome, Cam.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely the highlight of the season so far. Some amazing racing from pretty much everybody, including the middle pack. That was absolutely unbelievable to be going for so long under green and have some amazing battles, even with a handful of cautions, just to spice things up.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in once again here in the ASC. It's been a fantastic night of racing once again, and as we said, we will have a break in this series next week. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time for the next round. Mental blank on where we are in 2 weeks' time, though. I'm going to get it very quick. Oh, that will be a fantastic race. Always turns on a really, really, excuse me, really, really good night of racing. Some really cool tracks left to go. We got Lanier, we've got Limaland, we've also got Eldora, and we'll have a surprise packet in there in the middle as well. Still a TBA, which should be really, really fun. We'll quickly do some interviews with the guys because they are here with us. We'll go quickly to the new world champion, Alex Bergeron. Congratulations firstly on that, and what a fantastic race that was at the end there. You had a little bit of a fight there with Brett, but he couldn't quite match you for pace.
Absolutely. This race was awesome. But first off, thanks for congratulating me for that world championship. Was tough, tough season. A lot of hard work on, I was on the schedule, so the team worked hard and it paid off in the end. But tonight, the car was awesome for this race. Qualified on the pole, won the heat race, and just we had a good battle there at the beginning of the race with Brett. I tried the top line and he just ran the bottom and just blew past me. So went back down there and just blew right by him again. So the car was awesome, and I don't know what to say else. So this track was awesome, car was awesome. The guys were racing in this race was awesome. So great race overall.
We have a week off next week, but as we were just saying, 2 weeks' time when we come back, we're off to Lanier Speedway. It's always a really, really interesting race there, a real different circuit. Looking forward to that one in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Lanier, always good races there. Their track is wide, and it's not a bull ring, but it's a small track. It's like kind of in the middle, so a lot of good racing there for sure, and definitely looking forward to it.
Congratulations on a great result. We better let you thank who you need to thank.
Yeah, thank you to all my partners, my team, everybody else for supporting me. It's I really appreciate it, and you guys for broadcasting tonight.
There is Alex Bergeron, your race winner. We go next to our second place finisher, Brett Wheeler. Congratulations on P2. Not quite enough pace to get past Alex, but very, very competitive battle you two had.
Yeah, no, we had some good car speed. I was just saying to Hobo, just before I was chatting with you guys, this is probably one of my best tracks. I really seem to like this track, and the set that I built for here is it's as you can see, it's pretty locked down, and no matter where I went today, whether it was top, bottom, or middle, or the slider line, it was a fast car.
We've seen the last few weeks you've had some really good pace in practice. You just topped the time sheets in practice, but you haven't been able to capitalise when it comes to the end of the night. Tonight you've had a bit of a turnaround. You didn't have the practice pace, but you've had the race pace. Is that's something you're trying to work on throughout the week, a little bit more race pace and try and get yourself up through the field a little bit further?
No, not really. I mean, I don't really get to race a whole lot during the week. As you know, your broadcast takes time and
Sure does.
stuff like that. But the first week, we're up in the top 5 before we got turned by Tim Ryan at the Grove, and I think we ended up having a 13th place finish there. And then the last 2 weeks, we finished 5th. So, it's nice to see some of the pro drivers not here tonight, just purely and simply the fact that I'm able to run up here and finish 2nd. So, we're going to bag some more points for the championship, and just see where we end up. Come the end of this series.
We better let you thank who you need to thank before we let you go.
First off, you guys, SimSpeed TV for the broadcast, Down Under Graphics, Joel, he does a phenomenal job behind the scenes. Murray Bin Bridge, I think it is, as well for jumping on board. Bob King, BK Events, check him out on Facebook, all that good stuff. And Black Diamond Motorsports, Ultimate Dirt TV, and Drew Neal at One Night Designs. He's really nailed this paint job, and it's fast.
Congratulations, Brett, on a great result tonight. P2 in our main event. Congratulations, mate.
Thank you, boys.
Go next to Hobbo88, Brenton Hobson. P3 tonight, mate. That was a little bit of a stressful finish, but you just pipped Sanders at the line there. It was an incredible fight at the end of the race there.
Yeah, it was. It was really good, actually. I mean, I was pretty disappointed when the caution came out because the car didn't feel very good. And we had a nice handy couple of second margin over them, but we coughed up a heap of spots there on the first restart, and I had to adapt a little bit for turns 1 and 2 to get a bit better down there, and just managed to get back to 3rd. So it's a good battle, though. It was good fun.
Yeah, I had a pretty eventful night, though. As you said, your car sort of pace definitely dropped in the second half of that huge, long first green flag run, but that restart would have been a little bit scary because you were really comfortable, as you said, for that podium spot. Talk us through what was going through your mind when you had that caution come out and then you knew that restart didn't quite go to plan.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't realise how weak the top was off turn 2 until they all started driving past me. And once I was up there on that first restart, I just couldn't get back off that line on the top. I mean, I didn't want to squeeze the guys too hard on the inside of me and take myself out. So I just sort of got trapped up there, and the next restart gave me a chance to try and just come back at it at a different line. But it meant doing something new, and that's the fun of dirt track racing, isn't it? You got to chase the track. So it was good fun. I'm glad I got back to 3rd. I would have been disappointed with anything worse tonight, but it was really good fun.
Well, congratulations on a great result, mate. We better let you thank who you need to thank, and people now that you're here too will know that we are not twins, despite people thinking that I'm you and you're me. So
it happens a lot. I get told all the time.
Yeah, it does every time. Is that Hobbo commentating? Who would you like to thank, mate?
A quick shout out to the guys at SSR. I think Ricey had a pretty good night tonight as well, which is cool. But obviously to the sponsors, Trackstar, the Speedway Shop, DGD Custom, BK Designs, all the usual crew that all help out with the team, and to you guys for the broadcast, and obviously Bob and Race Control for everything that they do as well.
Congratulations, Brenton Hobson on P3 tonight. Cam, it's been an awesome night of racing. It's been an incredible night. We've got about 30 seconds left before we have to be off the air. We're in for a fantastic second half of this season after this first half. Now we get into our week break. It's going to be so full on.
100%. It's going to be an absolute awesome end to the season. Got Lanier next, and then we've got Limeland. So it's going to be all on, and cannot wait for it.
Neither can we here at SimSpeed TV. Our next broadcast will be Friday night. AOSC action here on the iRacing Esports Network. As we said, next week this series will have a little bit of a break. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time for the next round. Until then, we thank you very, very much for tuning in. We are SimSpeed TV. Make sure you subscribe here on the iRacing Esports Network. Also to our channel at SimSpeed TV. Until next time, we will see you then. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
This is fantastic. This is GT Racing right now. He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney! Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top! Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my god.
God, what?